The reason why we're talking about lifting properly is it's the #1 reason for back injury. In fact, 3 out of 4 people are injured due to lifting improperly every day. Billions of dollars are spent and millions of back injuries occur every day just due to lifting improperly. What you want to avoid is you want to avoid bending over to lift anything. We lift improperly every day, including trying to lift light items off the floor. And over time, that helps degenerate our discs. It hurts us over time. It's kind of like lifting, kind of like a malaligned tire over time. It's not going to last its life. Neither are our discs. Lifting improperly is kind of like that malaligned tire. It's just not going to last us our lifetime. So that's the importance of lifting properly, even if it doesn't injure us right away. You want to avoid twisting at the waist. Twisting at the waist puts a lot of shear forces on the disc. Bending and twisting is the #1 reason for back strain. So you want to avoid bending and twisting as well, and especially in combination. You want to avoid lifting anything greater than 51 pounds. If it is 51 pounds, have something or someone help you. Or if it's oddly shaped and it's hard to handle, you need to be able to ask for help. That's very important. Be able to ask for help. So what happens to your back with improper lifting? Well, back strains can occur. What is a strain? Anybody tell me what a strain is? Not you. What's that? Pull. Yeah, exactly. A pull is a strain. Okay. A pull is a strain. A tweak is a strain. A tear is a strain. They're all strains. They're just of different gradients and different adjectives to say the same thing. So if you bent over wrong and you hurt your back and it resolved in 2 to 3 days, it was probably what's called a 0-degree strain. All right. If you bend over to lift something, you hurt your back, and that pain lasts 2 to 3 weeks. That's probably a 1-degree strain. 4 to 6 weeks, 2-degree strain, and then so forth, up to 3rd degree. While lifting improperly, you could sustain a possible disc herniation, and we're going to look into that a little bit more so you understand what's happening while you're lifting to your discs, especially over time. And that's really the focus that I want to go with here. You might not injure yourself one time lifting. It might take thousands of times lifting over your career before you start to build arthritis. Okay, so keep that in mind. So we're going to talk about forming a good habit. Over time, your disc weaken. I'll show you what I mean by that. Your disc weakens and degeneration occurs, and you can sustain low back arthritis sooner rather than later. So this is what one looks like. You see what's happening here? Let me grab my spine. Here's my spine. All right, so here's your spine. Here's the discs. These little things right here, these are discs. These things right here are called vertebrae. Okay, and then you have different parts of the vertebrae. Okay, so this right here isn't supposed to be there. That's a herniated disc. And that's pressing back into this, which are nerves. Okay, and I got this off the internet. This isn't one of our people. I just want to make sure that you know that. It's a case study off the internet. This person bent over and lifted improperly. Got the disc herniation and had weakness and numbness and tingling, burning sensations down the leg. We've all heard of that, right? Sciatica, maybe? Yeah, some of us have had it. This one required surgery because it was just way out so far. So they had to basically lop that off so it wouldn't press into the nerve anymore so this person could regain full strength and sensation. So that's what lifting improperly can do to your discs. Here's another view. I got this from an animation. But here's the wall of the disc. Inside is a gel, like a jelly donut. This isn't supposed to squeeze out like that. It's not supposed to squeeze the wall out like that. It's supposed to stay right in here and make a nice little circle. When you bend forward, you increase the pressure back into the nerves, and that's what that is. And then that's where you get the sciatica. Well, why do we do it? Why do we lift improperly? Well, it's actually mechanically easier to do. It's easier to lift improperly until you get injured. Until you get injured, and then once you get injured, well, your back teaches you how to lift properly. And another reason why we lift improperly is pain isn't immediate. Too bad it isn't, because we'd all be lifting champions. We'd all be correctly lifting through behavioral psychology. Kind of like mice getting shocked. But sometimes the pain develops years later. By the time you try to retire, sometimes that's when the pain starts to occur. So that's bad news. You'd rather have the pain immediate, so you fix it quicker. Other reasons why we lift improperly: weak legs. I had one guy I met and I did an assessment on. The only issue he had was he could not get down correctly with his knees bent and his back upright. He was wobbly. So we took 4 or 6 weeks out to train him, get him stronger so he could lift correctly, so he could get rid of his back pain. The reason why some of us lift improperly is the habit of lifting correctly hasn't been formed, and it takes about 3 weeks to lift correctly. If you are lifting improperly right now, you're not going to come out of this session and lift correctly from time one. It's a trained habit, and it does take a few weeks. So here's what I ask you to do. If you are lifting improperly, just try to catch yourself. Try to catch yourself doing it wrong. You'll catch yourself quite a bit in the beginning. But as the 3 weeks continue on, you'll notice that you'll be able to just automatically do what you trained yourself to do correctly. Try to catch your teammates and remind them of the 5 simple steps of lifting. Your teammates will love it if you point out their faults. You'll benefit by having a healthy teammate, though, that's right there with you instead of out with an injury. Some simple steps to lifting. Well, first, keep it close. Tighten your abs before lifting. This will splint your back. Take about 25% of the pressure off the lumbar disc. Bend your knees and hips like a linebacker, especially if you have to twist, but avoid twisting when possible. Pivot with your feet instead. Have someone or something help you, especially if it's 51 pounds or more or oddly shaped. Now let's look at some examples to proper lifting.
Before lifting any object, there are several things you should consider to ensure that you remain safe and injury-free. First, plan your route. Wet floors, tripping hazards, and closed doors along your route could all be hazardous if you're carrying a heavy or large item. Second, know or test the object's weight. A small cardboard box may look light, but it could have some very heavy contents. After considering your route and sizing up the item you're about to lift, you need to follow these simple steps. Stand close to the object with your feet wide enough apart and staggered to keep your balance. Keep your stomach muscles tight and your back straight while bending at the knees. Grab the load firmly on opposite sides and lift slowly, keeping the load close to your body. When lifting items out of trucks, never lift over the sides or a latch tailgate. Instead, reposition the item close to the tailgate so you can keep the load in your power zone. Avoid twisting at the waist and lifting at the same time. Instead, complete your lift, point your feet where you want to go, then step. When lifting light items, try using the golfer's lift. The golfer's lift is performed by placing your body weight on one leg. Keep your head up and your spine erect in a straight line. Every time you lift something, you're exposing yourself to a potential back injury. Remember these simple steps every time you make a lift. Keep it close, tighten your abs before lifting, bend your knees while keeping your back straight, avoid twisting when possible, and if you ever are in doubt about what you're about to lift, get help.
Proper storage. Now this lends into proper lifting, okay? So storage of items, important for material handling. Store lighter but frequently used items between shoulder and knee height. This is your strike zone. This is where you want to be in whenever you're lifting. You don't want to lift from beneath the knees frequently, and you don't want to lift overhead frequently either. So frequently lifted items, you want those stored between knees and shoulders. Store heavy and frequently used items just below waist height. That way you can actually bend those knees and lift correctly, or transfer that item onto a cart. Store rarely used items above shoulder height, things that you don't have to lift frequently, but avoid storing overhead. If you must store overhead, use a stable step stool or a platform ladder instead of reaching up overhead. That'll protect your shoulders. The heaviest items are more easily handled if they are stored on the floor and moved with a hand truck or lifted with the assistance of a coworker. So that's this right here. Avoid storing items behind other items that you have to frequently get to too. That'll protect your shoulders. Let's go ahead and fill in the blanks. This is the quiz of the day. Let's see what you learned. Okay, 5 simple steps of lifting, the lifting quiz. Keep it, tighten, before lifting, this will splint your back. Bend, knees, not back, knees. All right, one more time. Bend like a linebacker, especially if you have to twist. Avoid twisting. I'll take bending, but avoid twisting when possible. Pivot with your feet instead. Have blank. That's right, or something help you. All right, thank you. And if you need to contact me, there's my phone number, there's my email, that's a direct line. So I do injury care and prevention, and hopefully more prevention than injury care, but I'm in a rehab clinic all day, half the day working with back injuries, most of the other day of the rest of the day working with shoulders. But I do the injury rehabs and rehabilitation. It's free. It's free for you on the job and off the job injuries. It's free for your spouse as well. It all reduces our costs. So I'm glad we have this position. It's found that if there's a position like this with a company, it reduces, or you get a return on investment of $3 for every $1 spent. So I also do ergonomics too. Those are the things that I do. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, that's great. I'm done, unless of course you want to ask anything, any questions at all.